first video I've done of 2021. And I was going to have a quick look at SIBO. What on earth is SIBO, and whether or not it could be causing all or some of your gut symptoms. And so I'll give you 8 signs to look for. So you can try and figure out if that's what's going on for you, and also a bit of background, what it is, how it comes about, and then how you can go about fixing it if you think this is an issue for you. So firstly, what is SIBO then? Well, it's basically where it stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. So instead of bacteria mainly growing in your large intestine, some of it moves further up the digestive tract, and it starts establishing itself in the small intestine. So the small intestine is only really supposed to host a very small level of bacteria. So if you start to get large amounts of bacteria colonizing, then it will cause lots and lots of symptoms and be really quite painful, because it will cause bloating and other associated things as well. We'll come more to that in just a minute. So not ideal. You don't want bacteria growing in your small intestine. It should really just be in your large intestine. So by and large, just to give a bit of background, where your digestive system is so long and huge and it does all sorts of different things, it's naturally set up to make sure that each section does what it's supposed to. So for example, the stomach has a very high acid level, and that itself will prevent bacteria setting up home there. But then if you disrupt the delicate pH level there, it may, create an environment where bacteria can flourish there. So that's just one example of what might happen. The same if you have an issue with a gallbladder. The gallbladder will produces bile, and bile is great at keeping the intestines nice and clean and hygienic and doing what it's supposed to do. But any disruption in that process can then give rise again to bacteria thriving in the wrong place, or the wrong sorts of bacteria thriving that we don't really want to see flourishing too much. Other medications as well can contribute to this. So if you've been taking the contraceptive pill or any kind of antibiotics, especially for a long time, this can all increase your risk of developing SIBO, as well as other things as well. The natural aging process can be behind it. So the natural aging process is going to reduce the level of stomach acid you've got anyway, probably. So this can make you more susceptible. Whether or not this is the case for you, you could probably piece together and, try and establish when your symptoms came about. Okay, so what are the signs then? What are the signs you might be affected by SIBO? So your general kind of IBS symptoms can be at play here. So you're looking at bloating, nausea, vomiting, even diarrhea, weight loss, fatigue, because you're not possibly then absorbing the nutrients you should be absorbing, because your nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine. So anything that's interfering in that process. So then you could get knock-on effects like hormone problems, PMT, bad menopause symptoms, etc., etc. Also looking at possible depression as well, due to all this going on. And the thing with SIBO as well, it won't generally happen on its own. It will be part of a bigger picture of possible imbalance and dysfunction throughout the intestine. So it's important to get an overall look at the intestines and find out what's going on in there and what's given rise to it. So certain surgeries can cause it to happen. So any kind of abdominal surgery, and quite often you see it will start after kind of an episode of endometriosis or endometriosis surgery, or any kind of Crohn's surgery or colitis, anything like that can give rise to it as well. Anything that's disrupting that kind of bowel action and bowel motion and getting in the way of things functioning properly and moving as they should there. Okay, so a big sign actually that you've got it is normally when people start to experience gut symptoms, IBS symptoms, they will take a probiotic, or they might start fermenting their own, fermented foods at home. If you start to do that and your symptoms get worse, so you get more bloating, that is a pretty good sign that there may be some SIBO going on, because you're just adding to those bacterial colonies that we don't really want to be adding to, and making them bigger, making them flourish more. So that's going to then cause you more symptoms, which obviously you want to avoid. So what I recommend doing is, if SIBO is suspected, I'll do a normal gut test, I'll do a normal stool test, and then combine that with a SIBO breath test. That gives us a pretty good idea of what's going on in there. And then we look at the bigger picture as well to find out how it's come about, what's causing it, and then correct those imbalances as well and get everything working properly. And then we'll use a treatment like, it can be quite hard to treat anything like this. So, you would either use then antibiotics or antimicrobial herbs to wipe out the infection, and then the bacteria generally will create a biofilm over itself, so they can be notoriously difficult to knock out. So you need to break down that biofilm as well, when the biofilm is just there to protect the bacterial colony. So break that down, eradicate the infection with, you would either get antibiotics, antimicrobial herbs. If you do a low FODMAP diet, that can take the pressure off your gut while you're healing as well. You can use enzymes and things like that to take the pressure off, and then rebalance that gut bacteria nicely and get it all functioning as it should do. Okay, so that's a quick overview there for you. SIBO, how it comes about, the signs you might have it, and then how to go about fixing it. If you would like to speak to me because you suspect you've got SIBO, then I shall pop a link to my diary in the comments, and you can speak to me and I can see if I'm the best person to help you get things sorted. Okay, and lovely talking to you. I shall speak to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.